There's something profoundly powerful about realizing that everything you need to live a strong, meaningful life is already within your control. The Stoics understood this. They didn't believe in waiting for circumstances to change, for luck to intervene, or for the world to make things easier. Instead, they believed in choices, small, deliberate choices made every day that shape who you are and how you experience life. Imagine waking up tomorrow and choosing, truly choosing, how to live. Not being pulled by distractions, not being dictated by fear, not reacting out of habit, but making intentional decisions that move you towards strength, wisdom, and resilience. Because in the end, the quality of your life is not determined by what happens to you, but by how you choose to respond. The power of Stoicism isn't in theory, it's in practice. It's in the way you handle challenges, the way you let go of things you can't control, and the way you stay steady when life tries to shake you. These are choices you can make right now, not in a year, not when circumstances are perfect, today. In this episode, we'll explore 10 Stoic choices, not rules, not abstract philosophy, but simple, actionable decisions you can make immediately to become mentally stronger, more focused, and more in control of your life. Because every day you are faced with a choice, to live reactively or to live deliberately. Let's begin. 1. Choose to take full responsibility. Everything changes the moment you stop blaming, the moment you stop pointing at circumstances, people, or the past as the reason for where you are. Because the truth is, as long as you believe someone else is responsible for your situation, you give away your power to change it. The Stoics understood this deeply. They believed that true freedom doesn't come from wealth, status, or even good fortune. It comes from owning your choices, from realizing that no matter what happens around you, your response is always within your control. Think about the last time something went wrong in your life. Maybe it was a failed opportunity, a broken relationship, or a setback that felt unfair. What was your first instinct? Did you blame someone else? Did you blame the system, bad luck, or the circumstances? It's a natural reaction. We want to believe that things are happening to us rather than because of us. But that belief keeps us stuck. It convinces us that we are powerless. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the world at his time, refused to fall into this mindset. Despite ruling an empire in crisis, plagued by wars, betrayals, and even a devastating plague, he never saw himself as a victim. Instead, he reminded himself, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." When you take full responsibility, you stop waiting for life to be fair. You stop expecting others to fix things for you. Instead, you ask, "What can I do about it?" Even if the answer is small, even if it's just a shift in your perspective, that one choice gives you control again. But responsibility isn't just about owning your mistakes. It's also about owning your potential. If you believe your problems are someone else's fault, you will always wait for someone else to fix them. But when you take full ownership of your mindset, your actions, and your future, you stop waiting. You become the cause, not the effect. This doesn't mean life won't be hard. It doesn't mean everything will suddenly fall into place. But it does mean that from this moment forward, you are no longer a passive observer in your own life. You are the one making the choices. And that realization, it's the first step toward true freedom. So ask yourself, where in my life am I still blaming others? Where am I still waiting for circumstances to change instead of taking action? Because the moment you decide to take full responsibility, for everything, even the things you didn't cause, is the moment you become unstoppable. 2. Choose to control your reactions. You don't control the world. You don't control how people treat you, the economy, unexpected setbacks, or random moments of misfortune. But there is one thing that is always yours to command: your reaction. Most people go through life reacting. Something happens and they respond emotionally: anger, frustration, disappointment, anxiety. They assume their feelings are automatic, that they have no choice in the matter. But the truth is, you always have a choice. The Stoics understood this better than anyone. Epictetus, a former slave who became one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." A simple idea, but one that changes everything. Because when you realize that no event, no insult, no setback can dictate your emotions without your permission, you become powerful in a way that few people ever achieve. Imagine two people stuck in the same traffic jam. One is furious, honking, cursing, feeling like the universe is conspiring against them. The other, calm, listening to music, accepting the reality of the situation. The traffic is the same for both, but their experience of it is completely different. Not because of what happened, but because of how they chose to react. Now think about your own life. How often have you let someone else's bad mood ruin your day? How often has a single comment, a rejection, or a minor inconvenience thrown you into frustration? Every time that happens, you are giving away control, allowing external events to dictate your inner state. But what if you didn't? What if, no matter what happened, you could remain calm, centered, and in control? This is not about suppressing emotions or pretending that bad things don't affect you. It's about mastery. When something upsets you, stop and ask yourself, is this worth my peace? Am I reacting, or am I choosing? Will this matter a year from now? Because the strongest people in the world aren't the ones who never face problems. They're the ones who don't let problems control them. They remain steady in chaos, in conflict, in moments of uncertainty. And that steadiness, that ability to stay calm when others panic, that is real power. So today, when something doesn't go your way, pause, breathe, decide. Because your reaction is always yours to control. 3. Choose to focus only on what matters. Your time, energy, and attention are your most valuable resources. But most people waste them without realizing it, chasing distractions, worrying about things they can't control, and getting caught up in meaningless battles that drain their mental strength. The Stoics believed that true power comes from learning to focus only on what truly matters. Look around. The modern world is designed to steal your focus. Endless notifications, news cycles that thrive on fear, social media engineered to keep you scrolling for hours. All of it is noise. And the more you allow yourself to be pulled in every direction, the harder it becomes to focus on the things that actually move your life forward. Marcus Aurelius understood this well. As Emperor of Rome, he had more demands on his time than almost anyone in history. Yet, in his private journal, he reminded himself, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." In other words, life is short. Stop wasting it on the trivial. But distractions aren't just external. Sometimes the biggest distractions are the ones inside your own mind. Overthinking, worrying about what others think, dwelling on the past, stressing over things beyond your control. How much energy have you lost worrying about something that never even happened? How many hours have you spent mentally replaying past mistakes instead of focusing on what you can do now? The Stoics understood that mental clarity comes from eliminating the unnecessary. They didn't believe in carrying emotional baggage. They believed in asking, does this serve me? Does this deserve my energy? Will this matter in the long run? The answer, more often than not, is no. But knowing this isn't enough. You have to train yourself to let go of what doesn't matter. The next time you catch yourself worrying, ask, is this within my control? If not, drop it. The next time you feel overwhelmed, stop and list the 3 most important things in your life. Then ask yourself, am I spending my time and energy on these or on distractions? The most successful, resilient people in the world aren't those who do the most. They're the ones who do less, but with greater focus. They cut away the noise so they can give their full attention to the things that actually make a difference. So today, choose to focus only on what truly matters. The rest? Let it go. Because your life is too short to waste on things that don't move you forward. 4. Choose to embrace discomfort and challenges. There's an undeniable truth that most people spend their entire lives running from. Growth only happens through discomfort. It's in the moments of struggle, of uncertainty, of difficulty that we become stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Yet, human nature pushes us in the opposite direction. We crave comfort. We avoid pain. We seek the easiest path, the path of least resistance. The Stoics believed that true strength isn't avoiding discomfort. It's choosing to walk straight into it. They saw hardship not as a curse, but as a teacher. Seneca, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, put it simply, difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body. Just as muscles grow through resistance, so does the mind. Every challenge you face is an opportunity to develop greater patience, greater endurance, greater wisdom. But most people don't see it this way. When faced with hardship, they ask, why is this happening to me? How can I escape this? When will things get easier? The Stoic, however, asks a different set of questions. What can I learn from this? How is this making me stronger? What opportunity does this difficulty bring? Because the truth is, the best things in life come through struggle. Every meaningful achievement, whether in career, relationships, or personal growth, comes from embracing the discomfort that others run from. The athlete who pushes through pain to become stronger. The entrepreneur who faces failure after failure but keeps moving forward. The individual who confronts their fears instead of hiding from them. These are the people who grow. These are the people who win. But embracing discomfort isn't just about enduring external hardships. It's also about facing the internal struggles we avoid. The fear of rejection, the fear of failure, the anxiety of stepping into the unknown. How many dreams have died because someone was afraid to take the first step? How many lives have been lived in mediocrity because someone chose the comfort of safety over the discomfort of growth? The Stoics had a practice called voluntary discomfort. They would deliberately put themselves in uncomfortable situations, not out of self-punishment, but to train their minds to handle adversity. Seneca would sleep on the floor and wear simple clothing to remind himself that luxury wasn't necessary for happiness. Marcus Aurelius would mentally rehearse worst-case scenarios so that when difficulties came, he was already prepared. You can do the same. Instead of avoiding hard things, seek them out. Challenge yourself. Get comfortable with discomfort. If something scares you, do it anyway. If a situation is tough, step into it instead of backing away. Train yourself to see challenges not as obstacles, but as stepping stones. And the most powerful realization? The more you embrace discomfort, the less control it has over you. What once felt overwhelming becomes normal. What once made you anxious becomes easy. You stop seeing struggle as something to avoid, and instead you welcome it as fuel for your growth. So today, instead of seeking comfort, seek challenge. Instead of asking, "How can I make life easier?" ask, "How can I make myself stronger?" Because in the end, your strength is measured not by what you avoid, but by what you are willing to face. 5. Choose to live with integrity. There are few things in life that no one can take away from you. Your money can be lost. Your reputation can be damaged by others. Your possessions can be stolen. But your integrity, the choice to live in alignment with your values, is always yours to protect. The Stoics believed that virtue is the highest good. More than wealth, more than status, more than comfort. The only thing that truly matters is how you live. They understood that integrity isn't just about telling the truth or keeping promises. It's about something deeper, living in a way that reflects who you truly are, even when no one is watching. But integrity is not always easy. Every day you are faced with choices, some small, some life-changing, where doing the right thing may be harder, more inconvenient, or even come at a cost. It's easy to compromise when no one will notice. It's tempting to take shortcuts, to say what others want to hear instead of what you truly believe, to choose comfort over conviction. But every compromise chips away at your character. Every moment you betray your values, you lose a part of yourself. The Stoics didn't see integrity as something you choose only when it's convenient. They saw it as a commitment, a way of living that defines everything you do. Marcus Aurelius, despite being the most powerful man in Rome, constantly reminded himself that his actions, not his title, determined his worth. In Meditations he wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." But here's the challenge. Do you truly know your values? Many people go through life following what society tells them is important, chasing money, success, or approval, without ever stopping to ask, what do I actually believe in? What is truly important to me? Am I living in a way that reflects that? Integrity starts with clarity. If you don't define your values, the world will do it for you. But once you do, once you know what truly matters, your choices become simpler, not easier, but clearer. You don't have to think twice about whether to lie, whether to betray your principles, whether to act in a way that contradicts who you are, because you've already decided the kind of person you will be. Integrity is not about perfection. You will make mistakes. You will have moments where you fall short of your own standards. But what matters is what you do next. Do you correct your course? Do you own up to your failures? Do you return to your principles, even when it's difficult? And here's the truth. Integrity is rare. Most people bend under pressure. They compromise their values for convenience, for approval, for temporary gain. But the ones who don't, the ones who remain steady in their principles, are the ones who inspire, who lead, who leave a legacy. Because in the end, your life is not measured by what you own, but by how you live. Your integrity is the foundation of your strength, your self-respect, and your ability to face yourself in the mirror without regret. So today, ask yourself, what do I stand for? Am I living in alignment with my values, or am I making compromises? If I had nothing, no wealth, no status, would I still be proud of the person I am? Because at the end of your life, the only thing you'll truly own is the way you chose to live. 6. Choose to let go of the past. How much of your life is spent living in a time that no longer exists? How many hours, days, or even years have been lost, replaying regrets, holding on to resentment, or wishing things had been different? The Stoics believed that dwelling on the past is one of the greatest sources of unnecessary suffering. The past is unchangeable, yet so many people carry it like a burden, allowing old wounds, past mistakes, and missed opportunities to dictate how they feel in the present. But the past has only the power you choose to give it. Epictetus, who was once a slave before becoming one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, understood this better than anyone. He had every reason to be bitter, to hold on to the injustices he had faced, but instead he taught, "It's not things that upset us, but our judgment about things." In other words, it's not the past itself that holds us back, it's our attachment to it. Think about this for a moment. If you could no longer remember the worst thing that happened to you, would it still affect you today? The pain isn't in the event itself. It's in the way you keep reviving it, replaying it, keeping it alive in your mind. But here's the truth. The past is a closed chapter. No matter how much you analyze it, regret it, or wish you could rewrite it, it remains unchanged. What can change is your relationship with it. You can choose to keep carrying it, letting it weigh you down, or you can choose to let it go and free yourself. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean pretending something didn't happen. It means accepting it fully, without resistance, without wishing it were different, so that it no longer controls you. Ask yourself, what am I holding on to that no longer serves me? What pain am I choosing to relive instead of releasing? If I stopped thinking about this, how much lighter would I feel? Because the more time you spend looking back, the less time you have to move forward. The Stoics understood that life happens only in the present. The past is gone. The future isn't guaranteed. All you have, the only thing that truly exists, is this moment. So why waste it living in a reality that no longer exists? Today, choose to let go, not because the past doesn't matter, but because your future matters more. 7. Choose to be grateful for everything. What if, instead of focusing on what's missing, you focused on what you already have? What if, instead of waking up thinking about your problems, you started the day recognizing the things that make life meaningful? The Stoics understood that gratitude is not just a feeling, it's a discipline, a way of seeing the world that transforms suffering into wisdom, setbacks into lessons, and ordinary moments into something extraordinary. Seneca once wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, who is poor." Because the truth is, wealth is not about how much you have. It's about how much you appreciate. Most people go through life always chasing, always wanting more. More money, more success, more recognition, more comfort. And in doing so, they rob themselves of the ability to enjoy the present. They live in a state of lack, always measuring themselves against what they don't have, rather than what they do. But gratitude changes everything. It shifts your perspective from scarcity to abundance. Instead of focusing on what's missing, you begin to see how much is already there. And the most powerful realization, nothing external has to change for you to feel rich. Only your perspective does. But gratitude is not just for the good times. The Stoics practiced gratitude even for hardships, struggles, and pain. They saw adversity as a gift, an opportunity to grow, to learn, to build resilience. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Every obstacle, every setback, every difficulty is something to be grateful for, because it is shaping you into someone stronger. But gratitude, like any discipline, must be practiced. It's easy to say, I'll be grateful when I have more money, when life is easier, when things go my way. But that's not gratitude, that's waiting. True gratitude is looking at your life exactly as it is and saying, this is enough. I am enough. So, how do you cultivate this mindset? Start with something simple. Every day, write down 3 things you're grateful for. It can be small, a good meal, a kind conversation, the feeling of the sun on your face. The more you do this, the more your mind begins to focus on what's right instead of what's wrong. And when life is difficult, ask yourself, what is this teaching me? How can I grow from this? What part of this struggle will I one day be grateful for? Because gratitude is not about ignoring life's challenges. It's about choosing to see what remains, what endures, what is still beautiful, even in the midst of difficulty. The choice is always yours. You can live in a constant state of wanting, or you can wake up each day seeing how much you already have. Today, choose gratitude, not because life is perfect, but because it is yours. 8. Choose to simplify your life. The world constantly tells you that more is better, more success, more money, more possessions, more experiences. But what if the truth was the opposite? What if having less, fewer distractions, fewer unnecessary desires, fewer obligations, was the key to real freedom? The Stoics believed that simplicity is power. They saw excess not as a sign of wealth, but as a burden, something that complicates life, clutters the mind, and weakens the soul. Epictetus, who was once a slave and later became a revered philosopher, said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants, because the more you need, the less free you become." Think about it. How much of your stress comes from chasing things you don't actually need? How often do you buy things, not because they bring you joy, but because they promise a feeling that never lasts? How many of your desires were planted in you by society, rather than being your own? Most people think happiness comes from adding more to their lives, more money, more achievements, more material success. But the happiest, most peaceful people often have something in common. They have learned to want less. But simplifying life isn't just about physical possessions. It's about decluttering the mind. The Stoics practiced mental simplicity by focusing only on what they could control and letting go of everything else. They didn't waste energy worrying about opinions, external events, or things beyond their influence. They understood that simplicity isn't just about living with less. It's about living with clarity. So, how do you simplify your life? Start by asking yourself, what in my life is truly essential? What do I own, pursue, or stress over that doesn't actually bring me peace? If I stopped chasing this, would I feel more free? The answer is often surprising. You don't need as much as you think. You don't have to impress as many people as you believe. You don't need to fill every moment with activity, consumption, or stimulation. You just need space to think, to breathe, to exist without constantly seeking more. The modern world thrives on making people feel like they are missing something, like happiness is always one step away. But the truth? Nothing is missing. The less you chase, the more you realize that peace comes not from adding, but from subtracting. Today, choose simplicity, not because you have to, but because freedom begins where excess ends. 9. Choose to face your fears with logic. Fear is one of the most powerful forces in human life. It stops people from pursuing their dreams, from speaking up, from taking risks that could change everything. But here's the truth the Stoics understood. Fear is rarely about reality. It's about perception. Most of the things you fear aren't actually happening. They exist only in your mind, exaggerated by imagination, fed by uncertainty. Seneca, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, put it clearly: we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Think about that for a moment. How many times have you stressed over something that never actually happened? How many moments of your life have been wasted worrying about things that were never real? The Stoics didn't believe in eliminating fear completely. That's impossible. But they believed in controlling it, mastering it, questioning it. Instead of letting fear dictate their decisions, they would confront it with logic. If something scared them, they would ask, is this fear based on fact, or is it just my mind running wild? What's the worst that could realistically happen? And if the worst did happen, could I survive it? Most of the time, the answers reveal something interesting. Fear is rarely as dangerous as it seems. When you break it down logically, you realize that even the worst-case scenario is often something you could endure, adapt to, or even grow from. Take public speaking as an example. Many people fear it intensely, but if you analyze it rationally, what's the real danger? You stumble over a word, people laugh. Someone disagrees. None of these things are life-threatening. Yet, to the mind, they feel like a real threat. That's fear playing tricks on you. And the moment you expose it, the moment you see it clearly, it starts to lose its power. The Stoics practiced premeditation of evils, a technique where they would deliberately imagine the worst possible outcome, not to make themselves anxious, but to prepare mentally. Marcus Aurelius would remind himself daily, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." He wasn't obsessed with death. He used it as a tool to keep fear in check. So, what fears are holding you back? What are you avoiding because your mind has convinced you that it's too risky, too uncomfortable? Instead of running from it, analyze it, break it down, face it with reason instead of emotion. Because the moment you see fear for what it is, a mental illusion, not a real enemy, you begin to reclaim your power. And the best part? Once you start facing your fears, you realize you're capable of far more than you ever imagined. Today, choose courage, not by ignoring fear, but by questioning it, because fear only controls you if you refuse to confront it. 10. Choose to remember that life is short. Every day we live as if time is infinite. We put off important conversations, delay our dreams, and assume that tomorrow will always be there. But the Stoics had a different perspective. They lived with the constant awareness that time is running out, not in a fearful way, but in a way that made them more present, more focused, more alive. They called this practice memento mori, remember you will die. At first, it sounds dark, almost morbid. But in reality, it's the opposite. When you truly accept that life is short, you stop wasting it. You stop procrastinating on what matters. You stop holding grudges because you realize how little time you actually have. You stop living in fear because you understand that regret is far worse than failure. Marcus Aurelius, The most powerful man in the world at his time reminded himself constantly, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." He understood that the awareness of death doesn't make life meaningless. It makes it urgent, meaningful, precious. So ask yourself, if today were your last day, would you be proud of how you lived? Are you spending time on things that truly matter, or just filling the hours? Are you waiting for the right time to pursue your dreams, or are you acting now? Because the truth is, none of us know how much time we have left, and yet we live as if we do. We postpone joy. We hesitate to take risks. We assume that one day will come, but one day is never guaranteed. The Stoics didn't believe in fearing death. They believed in using it as motivation to love fully, to act boldly, to live without regret. They understood that the tragedy is not death itself, it's never having truly lived. So today, make a decision. Live. Fully, deliberately, without waiting. Say what needs to be said. Do what you've been postponing. Focus on what matters, because the clock is always ticking, whether you acknowledge it or not. And when your time does come, let it not be with regret, but with the quiet strength of someone who lived fully, loved deeply, and left nothing undone. Every moment of your life is a choice. You can choose to react impulsively or to remain calm. You can choose to hold on to the past or to move forward. You can choose to chase distractions or to focus only on what matters. Every decision, no matter how small, shapes the person you are becoming. The Stoics didn't believe in waiting for circumstances to change. They believed in choosing, deliberately, consciously, how to live. Because life is not something that happens to you. It is something you create moment by moment, choice by choice. So, ask yourself, are you living deliberately, or are you just going through the motions? Are you making choices that align with your values, or are you letting life pull you in every direction? Are you aware of time slipping away, or are you still waiting for the perfect moment to start living? Because the truth is, this moment is all you have, and the choices you make today will define the life you live tomorrow. So, choose wisely. Choose with purpose. Choose to be the person you know you are capable of becoming, because nothing changes unless you decide to change.